We're taking a look now at the technology that is behind all that we're doing with Northeast First. It's called RSS. It's a way of, instead of going to a website to get the content, I can bring it back. It's a bit like, I don't have to go to live concerts now to listen to the music that I like. I can take a recorded version of it, whether that's CD, MP3 file, etc., and I can play it when I like in a device that I like. This is a bit similar, but with news and information. So BBC provide all these various news feeds. So for example, if I select England, there's all, in effect, the tracks or the headlines. If a particular one interests me, I select it. It then goes through to the provider of that information, which in this case is the BBC. Once I've read it, I return. So what Firefox has done, is my browser, is interpreted that content and put it in this particular format. What I'll do now is I'll go to a similar page on Internet Explorer. So here's the same page in Internet Explorer. When I select the England content now, they're presented it slightly different and in a slightly different order. So there's the Internet Explorer content and there's the BBC content. So what we're looking for is devices that allow us to play this information in a format we want. That's what we've done with our Northeast First site. So there's other ways of using this content. For example, this is my blog that I put all the content in for the Northeast First site. So these are all the various categories. If I come down and select a category like advertising, I've gone through to the advertising page, but Firefox has recognized this as an RSS file. So if I display that, I get the RSS version of that. And what I can do is do a subscribe now option to say I want Firefox to monitor this file for me. So I'll add it to a particular group, Future Pioneers, and then simply add it. Now whenever I'm on Firefox, I can go to Bookmarks, Future Pioneers, and see my Northeast feeds with all the latest content in. So great way of, instead of me going to a website to get information, I can bring it to my own bookmarks, or of course is what we are doing with the Northeast First site. Let's have a look at some other ways of doing content. Here's YouTube. This is the Paul McCartney video site. Paul regularly puts up-to-date content in there. Again, it's recognized that there's an RSS field here. If I select that, I now have all of his videos. So instead of me ever having to go back to YouTube, I could simply subscribe to this, put it in my own browser, and I can play it whenever I want. Because it's a standard tool, there's lots of things you can do with it. You could get it automated to tell you there's been some new videos added, and so on. If I go to something like Google News, so this is Google News. It's looking at lots of several thousand different publications across the world. And suppose I'm looking for stories on the Angel of the North. Select that. And there's the latest news articles. But I don't want to do that every time. If that particular subject was interesting me, I wouldn't want to have to go in each time. Well, again, Google has recognized that. If I select that option, you see I've now got an RSS field or an RSS file with all that content on. So I could simply subscribe to that, and then I would never have to go back to Google Newsfeed to get the content. It would always come to me. Here's something similar. This is Stephen Fry on Twitter. Stephen regularly updates this content. Again, notice that there's an RSS file produced. So I don't need to go to Twitter now to get that information. I can just take this RSS file and subscribe to it. And really what we've done with the Northeast First site is just create one place to put all your content on a particular subject. But you could start to use these yourselves. If you go to one of the options that we have, I'm going to go back to the BBC News site now. And suppose I'll pick one of these, the latest entertainment news. So there's their content. I'm going to select that feed. That's the address of the feed. I'll go back. I'll go back to the stylized content, put it in there, and then get it to style it for me. So there, it's took that content and styled it in its own format. If I go back, I want to try a different version of that. Dog's eye view in this case, style this feed. That's another way of presenting the same information. Exit back, let's try one more. Marooned. So a different version of having that same content. And actually with a tool like this, that's the style that you want and the feed you want, you could just copy that code in and then put it into your program or one of your screens, and you would now have that news feed on your own site. So that's a bit about the technology. Really, if you've got a website and it's not using this RSS technology, you're missing out. But most of the tools available, Facebook, YouTube, as we looked at, all of these tools will generate this content for you. Amazon generates it, eBay generates it. It's a way of stopping us having to go to websites, but bringing all the content automatically to us.